great to see you. Where are you right now, man?
Just back in the bus right now. We are on the Lee Bryce tour. We're stopped in Thunder Bay. We have no show in Thunder Bay, but that's just our spot where the drivers are going to get some rest. And I'm going to pour myself a whiskey here right away, and I don't know, probably play some cards with the boys in the bus.
Man, well, how's the tour been so far?
You know what? It's been one of my favorite things that I've done in a long time because I have no pressure, Rudy. I have no pressure. Lee's selling all the tickets. Lee is the headliner. Lee is doing all the work. I just show up and I sing for 45 minutes. We adjust our set list a little bit depending on where we are. And we go out there, we play all the hits, have all the fun. We're done before 9 o'clock. And we got more time to write songs and play cards. Like I said, like it's been the lowest pressure tour of my life.
I love that, man. But there's a reason why we're talking. But before we get into that,
Yes.
you were actually mentioning me before we hit the record button. We were on the red carpet together at the Junos. What happens as we're getting ready to do this interview? My battery dies, and I did not have another one with me. I am so sorry about that, my friend.
Oh, buddy.
And that's a rarity for me to let that happen.
Hey, but you don't have to worry about it because A, right now we're making up for lost time. And B, I mean, you and I have had a great friendship for many, many years. And I would venture to say that I would be in the top half or maybe even the top 25% of people that, that you've had conversations with and visits with and interviews with. I don't know who your number one guy or girl is, but you and I've got a long-standing friendship that's, longer than a decade now.
No, you're up there, man. Like if I was to put like yourself, Cardi, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head for
Yeah.
years. You, Cardi, I would probably throw Maestro. I would probably throw who else would I throw up there? I would probably throw those three. Yeah.
So
As
we're up there.
the Carl Wolf I'll throw up there too.
Okay.
Um yeah, I would probably that would probably be like the most consistent
Yeah.
over the decades. Let's yeah, like I'm going into that now, man. It's not
I
even
know.
just years. We're going into decades
And
here.
it's great that I still have a career, Rudy. You know what? A lot of my friends, when we started out together, for one reason or another, sometimes it's their choice, sometimes the industry just speaks. And some people just, have their moment and then sail off into the sunset. And it's not good or bad. It's not an issue, but I feel very lucky to have in a lot of ways. And the Junos kind of affirmed that or reaffirmed that for me. Like a really great resurgence with the Let Your Horses Run project and some really unique stuff that I've got going on where I'm 35 years old and Josh Ross and Owen Rigling and all these artists are, rocking and rolling in their 20s and I'm the old guy now, so it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun.
Let me get into that because that was actually one of the questions I wanted to ask you, man. Because I remember when you were the new kid on the block, you were the big superstar, still are, but you've become like the spokesperson for Canadian country music and just Canadian music in general. How does it feel being in that position where now you've got the young stars who come to you for advice, whereas when we first met, it was the other way around?
I think it's really cool how, I'm just at that point in my life and in my career right now. Of course, I still have a lot to give in terms of energy and stuff like that to this wonderful business. But I feel very, very lucky to be able to bridge the gap between, the older generation of Canadian country music, and the way things were done in that chapter and the way things are done right now. I feel very, very lucky. You know how much I love hockey, and there's a lot of great hockey players that love ushering, in new talent and taking guys under their wings and teaching them about the game. And I love the game of country music with all my heart. So feel very, very lucky to have some great conversations. Sometimes it's backstage, sometimes it's in a phone call, especially when it comes to parenting too, where a lot of people are having kids now and they're saying, Brett, how did you do it? I know you've got four. How did you balance? And you try your best to figure it out.
Yeah, you did it, man. I'm gonna throw something else out there to you too. What do you think about the how do I want to put this right? It's the storytelling that's being told these days. And there are several artists, including female artists. And the two I put on top is Megan Patrick and Sasha, who are telling the most personal stories I've ever heard in music. How do you feel about country music changing into that? It's not just about the pickup truck and drinking whiskey and driving down the roads. Now it's really telling personal stories and they're resonating.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head that it's a wonderful thing for our genre to be experiencing. And two very gifted storytellers are Megan and Sasha. I was in Napa Valley a couple days ago with Sasha, and she told a story about getting her Grand Ole Opry debut
Yeah.
and, growing up in Montreal and having the single out that she's got called Look Mama, I Made It. And you've got all these radio people and industry people who, between you and me, have been to 1,000 events, 1,000 showcases for 1,000 artists. And do they really care? I don't really know. But when Sasha started to speak and when she started to tell that story as a gifted storyteller, you could hear a pin drop. You could see a lot of people getting some tears in their eyes. And that is a wonderful, wonderful thing about our genre, and that those two females in particular have a gift. And that's why I believe they're going to be even more successful as time goes on. And Megan, everyone roots for her because she's been an underdog for a long time. And she takes no shit from nobody. And I love
Yo,
that about her. And the minute she stopped caring, and I could say this as a good friend of hers, the minute she kind of stopped caring about what the industry thought and she became her most true and authentic self, is the moment that she started to experience the most success of her career. Look at CRS and New Faces. I'm very, very happy for her and incredibly proud of her because she can write songs better than most. And she's following in the footsteps of an artist like Reba, who just
yeah.
did it her own way, Terry Clark, who did it her own way, or Dolly Parton, who always did it her own way. So I'm very proud of both those great artists.
Absolutely agree with you with that, man. Absolutely. You're coming back to Toronto, man. What's going on?
So Danforth Music Hall is one of my favorite venues. Everybody knows that. I've said that on social media for years. Um, Live Nation are friends of mine. Stingray Radio's, very, very close to them. So together, we just all decided, based on this one thought, I'm on the Lee Bryce tour and I have a day off in Toronto. They said, why are you having a day off when you could be headlining a show? So you got Tyler Joe Miller, Zach McPhee, Ali Walker, and myself. We're going to have a big night of country music. And Stingray and Live Nation said, Brett, you've played Danforth many times. How are we going to make this different? And so they came up with the idea that said, hey, why don't we call it, Buckles, Boots, and Big Hair? And why don't we do a couple really unique covers, especially all four of us? So it's going to be a wonderful show. Still all my hits. I'm going to play them all. But we've got some really cool covers that we're going to do, in a couple nights.
I want to remind people about this because yes, we've had many times country artists performing here in Toronto. They've played at the Lakeshore. They've played in smaller venues and stuff like that. Your first Danforth Music Hall show has been contributed in really bringing country music renaissance to Toronto in such a special way. That first show, and thank goodness I was there for that. And I remember everybody talking about it because we had the sporadic country shows, but something about that particular show that you did kind of like open up this door in Toronto for a lot of more country shows because usually you got to go to Hamilton or you got to go to London for those shows. Not so much as saying, "Hey, I'm going to go to a country show. I'm going to Toronto." You're the guy who helped open up that door, man. Congratulations.
Well, Rudy, that means a lot to me that you say that. I mean, I'm obviously very proud to be one of the first that would play right in the center of Toronto. Um, but I think when I was signed to Warner Music at the time, who I'm still very good friends with, um, and collectively as a team, we all decided Toronto is the biggest city in Canada, and we have to make a splash in this market. And we have to prove to the industry and the rest of Canada that country music as a genre is very strong. And it was a risk because it could have tanked. We could
Yes.
have had 100 people there in a 1,000-person room, and it could have proved the opposite to be true. But instead, we sold out that show, and we've sold out every time we've been there, saying country music is alive and well in the heart of Toronto, and I feel very very lucky that my team had the courage to put me in a situation like that too. So they get the credit too. And Rudy, you get the credit because you'll promote that show. You were there. You've been there from the very beginning. So a lot of credit, has to go to you too, my friend.
It was a great show, man. Look, I know we're gonna wrap this up because I want you drinking and playing cards. 2026, what's the rest of the year looking like for you?
Everybody talks about new music. I wish it wasn't like such a Miss America answer, like, oh, I'm working on new music, as every artist does. But I swear to you, this new stuff is so strong. I'm really coming to my own as a songwriter. With what I've gone through in my personal life, with my separation and my divorce from Cecilia, even though we're still really, really good friends, that has weighed heavy on my heart. So a lot of songs are coming out now, will be coming out this year, that are more personal or vulnerable. And just, I've cast a real wide net in terms of production elements too. I've got a heavy rock song. I see your t-shirt, hard rock. Like, I love Nickelback. So I've got like a Nickelback kind of song on this record. And I love Hardy and what he's done. And then I've got some Morgan Wallen kind of stuff on this record that I've written. It's a very, very strong record, and I can't tell you much more about it because I just want the music to do the talking. I don't know when it's going to come out. That's for people who are smarter than me to determine when that's going to come out. But I mean, buddy, when I tell you, it's, some people at this day and age are ready, like I said at the beginning, ready to sail off into the sunset. I actually feel my best years are about to begin right now.
Just like what we talked about earlier with Sasha and Megan, this is the
Storytelling.
genre to talk about what's going on inside. Brother, I'll let you go. Have a great time. Looking forward to seeing you here in Toronto, man. Love you and have a great show, brother.
Thanks, buddy. I love you back. Thanks, Rudy. We'll see you in a couple days.